Oh, welcome back, everybody, to the Dusty Bender podcast. I am one of your hosts, Chance Watson. With you, as always, your other host, Taylor Wells. Episode 134 coming at you, folks, today, recording on a very nice, very warm, actually, Sunday afternoon. Going to be talking some Kraken with you folks today, a very Kraken specific centric episode. We're excited to be being able to dedicate an episode a little more focusing on our local boys.
That's right. A very special one today.
Absolutely. Uh, Taylor, I am recovering, well, from not only being sick, but shout out to a bar that doesn't necessarily sponsor us, but what the hell, they're nice people. Blue Shell just came out from there. Blue Shell out in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, hosted an emo party last night.
Love that.
Oh, that was a callback to the childhood. There were some people there, man. Like I was very impressed with the level of commitment. That or they dress like that every day.
Yeah, I need to see some pictures of you in your emo outfit.
My emo outfit was a black beanie,
Okay.
this current black flannel. I was wearing a My Chemical Romance t-shirt and I threw on some black Converse.
Okay.
So not full bore, but I definitely dressed up, you could say.
Proud of you.
Yeah,
You didn't
thank
you
you.
didn't have the black like sleeve gloves
Oh,
on and
I didn't
shit.
have the fingerless sleeved gloves.
Ah,
Yeah,
up.
I
You
didn't have
fucked up.
those. I couldn't I needed to. I don't have any cuts on my wrist, so
Yeah. Yeah, nothing to
could
hide.
couldn't pull that off. But there were some people that like legit went full on chains and skirts and all that kind of like they just knocked over a hot topic, and I was very proud of them.
Love that, dude. I miss
Yeah.
Hot Topic.
I mean, it's still there, but it's not what it used to be, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
It's it's not the haven of like depression and sadness that it used to be.
I don't know. They used to have big black t-shirts though.
They did.
From Robin Big, yeah.
That's right. And now you
That's a
go in there and it's just a bunch of anime shit.
Hey, don't knock the anime.
I as somebody who is a casual watcher of anime, I can't. I'm definitely not going to sit here and say that I'm expert of it. But no, I definitely I fuck around a little bit with some anime.
There you go.
Yeah, I've
I'm sure a lot of people there last night were fucking around with some anime.
oh don't yeah, absolutely. But even the DJ had like they even wore a wig of like the black bowl cut with the hair going down to like right here, and
Nice.
they could easily do the like
Ah.
I gotta get that out of my face, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, that's like the universal sound that all emo people make.
Ah,
Ah.
gotta like you gotta look over,
Mom.
like like because you're upset. You gotta look over your
Mm-hmm.
shoulder like that,
Oh
like
yeah,
that. Yeah, I see that.
it's good
Yeah,
shit.
I got it down. So yeah, that was a good time. Shout outs real quick. As always, folks, Hockey Podcast Network, the Dusty Bender Podcast is part of the Hockey Podcast Network. Jump on over to the hockeypodcastnetwork.com and check out all the amazing hockey content that we have over there. There's basically a show for every team. So whatever fan you are, jump on over there and you'll probably find some content. Once again, shout out Terry Ryan. God, that was just such a cool thing that he did with the Growlers, and his show is pretty great. Guys, just for somebody who wrote a book titled Tales of a First Round Nothing, basically like explaining why he didn't go far in the NHL. The guy has definitely rebounded with an acting career, and he just seems like a likable dude. So
Yeah,
check out his
there's
con
hope for
check.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. So check out his show and check out all the content that we've got on the Hockey Podcast Network. Uh, Need to jump on over and shout out the Hub Tavern out in Spokane, Washington. The Hub Tavern is the premier, the best, the only hockey bar in Spokane, Washington on Monroe, part of the Anchor Alliance, officially affiliated with the Seattle Kraken. Go on in there, say hi to Dave and Mona, have a beer, tell them that the Dusty Bender podcast sent you, and they'll be nice to you. I think
They
maybe
will.
that or you'll get yelled at. Um,
Yeah, if you deserve it.
Probably. Probably, but Dave's a great judge of character, so you can check that out. Also, shout out to Monterey Cafe. Monterey Cafe is the best karaoke bar in Spokane. Go on in there, sing your heart out, and have some pizza while you're there. Some of the best pizza in town, affordably priced. They sell it by the slice. I think that was rhymed, and I did not mean to do that, but it happened, and I'm going to power through it. So, gotta love Monterey Cafe. Shout out to Jeff over there and the whole team. God, it's been a while since I changed jobs recently, so I haven't been out to Spokane as much as I normally would. I need to make a special trip out and go say hi to the team.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. Last but not least, Fire Chief John Miller, folks. Fire Chief John Miller, longtime listener, longtime supporter of the show. Guy is just getting up, supporting our dream, and keeping people alive. That's what he does. I'm not saying he's a hero, but yeah, he's kind of a hero.
As close as you can get.
Yeah. He gets up in the morning and he rescues children from burning school, and then pulls cats out of trees, all by himself too. Like he's a one-man crew, honestly,
All before his morning dump.
That's right. That's exactly right. And then unfortunately he could not get his Nashville Predators to beat the Edmonton Oilers. I actually watched that game. Did you watch this game?
No, I'm just trying to stay as far away from that fucking streak as possible.
Dude, that was just it's a rare day when you'll see me catching a Preds game. Not because I hate the Preds or anything like that. It's just not something that I would normally click on. But yeah, I was like, oh, come on, Preds, you gotta fucking, these guys suck. And it was worth it. It was so worth it because the encapsulation of my argument against the Oilers was perfectly put in this game of, oh, Nugent Hopkins gets his first goal in 10 games. And I fucking like, oh yeah, he's really coming in with that depth scoring. Let's all pretend that this isn't Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl's team, and without them, they would be fucking basement.
Yeah, no, I didn't. We Aaron and I were golfing while that game was going on, so we were a little busy, but
nice.
Yeah, we were getting the updates from you anyways, so I feel like we were there.
That's right. Well, and you were the one who looked up the assists, and even Nugent Hopkins gets an assist from McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, okay, what are we doing here, gang?
It was perfect.
Yeah, lots of depth on that team. He's an integral piece. Nugent Hopkins could not be replaced by anybody. He is a very important part of that team.
Jesus. Poor guy's just trying to feed his family.
Yeah. You're definitely gonna get your own meal ticket when you're skating next to two of the best players in the world, right?
I could do it.
Yeah, I feel like I could stand in front of the net and have a puck or two bounce off of me if I'm skating with those guys.
Oh shit! Speaking of that, you see, I think it was in the A. There was a fucking guy that scored a goal off his face. You see that shit? Oh yeah. Well, so it got tipped up into his face and into the net.
Oh shit.
I'm sure he lost a tooth or three.
Oof.
Yeah.
Lots of fun stuff. Lots of fun stuff happens in the A.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's eating soup and milkshakes for the next couple weeks.
Oh, poor guy. Well, way she goes. At least he gets to think about his life decisions on a long bus ride back.
That's right. That's right. Well, should we get into it a little bit?
Let's get into it a little bit. So, what do you think? We should talk about, obviously we're talking about the Kraken. Let's go back about a week, eh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We're in a bit of a slump right now, so it's definitely worth, bringing up. I know they were on a very nice hot streak and have kind of hit the brakes a little bit. I believe they've only won one game in their last 6, I think is what it is. So they're on the struggle bus a little bit, and I think we're starting to see some of those early season issues show up. So it's been a little tricky.
I think it was, I can't remember. I think it was maybe Bjorkstrand or Dunn. It was an older interview, probably happened in the midst of the win streak, and they were talking about how early on they dealt with massive amount of injuries. They just you never had the same lineup in for more than 2 or 3 games.
Right.
until something was getting swapped out. And in that 10-game win streak, I think they were finally pointing to the fact that like we're finally healthy for the first time in a while. And I think that's not completely it, like you could make a solid argument that the rise of Joey Decord has definitely come about because of the injury to Grubauer. But but there is something to that, right? Because it seems like during this last 6-game skid, we've been back on the injury wagon, right?
Right. Yeah, I think we saw a couple guys go down for a little bit, right? Like we saw Dunner was out for a while.
Yep.
We did have 2 games of Yanni that didn't, he was suspended,
Suspended.
right? So there's definitely a little bit of, yeah, kind of not ice in that full lineup, which we
Didn't
definitely saw towards the beginning of the year.
Maddie missed some time, and I think
Yeah,
even
from that hit, yeah.
Burakovsky went in and out again, didn't he?
So he kind of he went out, I believe during the winning streak though.
Or the win streak. Okay.
So I think you're right. I think he was out a little bit. I think he's only been back for, I think 2 or 3 games maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely, and he looks much more comfortable, which has been really good to see.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a fucking figurine of glass. So he just needs to just let someone else do all the board battles and shit. Like he just needs
Right.
to, just stick around and, get the rest of the season under his belt.
Yep. I could see that. Well, and I like his play. So let's go through this last week after the 10-game win streak. What was it? Was it 10 or was it 11? Something like that.
Yeah, I think they were right around 10. I think right when uh, Florida and Edmonton were kind of also hot.
Right.
And so yeah, I think it was
And
9 or 10.
and a decent point streak. Like if we're seeing it,
Yeah.
I hate we hate the loser point, but it's at the end of the day, it is going to be the reason why the Kraken are even in the playoff conversation at the moment. So I guess it's worth mentioning. Over the last week, we've got a loss, win, and a loss. Loss to the Leafs, win against the Hawks, and a loss against the Blues. This Leafs game, I did watch a bit of this. They didn't look ready for this game.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. The Leafs kind of came out and kind of showed like, hey, we're one of the top teams in the league. You are not. But also, the Kraken were missing key players. When you're missing your top center, arguably, and your top defenseman, you're going to have some issues.
Right. Yeah.
What did you...
That game was also, Yanni was serving, I think that was the first game of his suspension.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, then you're starting to hit the depth scoring. They're just they look a little. I think with a lot of these games in this losing streak, I know they've won one in there against the lowly Chicago Blackhawks, but I think a lot of it has been slow starts, which we're kind of used to with the Kraken. But even against Chicago, I felt like they definitely started a little slow, right? And so, I mean, I know they got the quick lead against St. Louis, which was good to see. I think, because I think they were up. No, they were up 1-rip. I thought it was 2-rip, but I think it was 1. But yeah, and so you gotta fight through that because that's that sets the tone, right?
Sure.
You don't want to be playing catch up for one, but you also you need to set that momentum and get the boys going. So. Yeah, I think the Leafs game. I think you're right, 100%. I don't think they were prepared for it. But I think, yes, some of that is to do with the room, but I think this is something we've seen with Hackstall from day one, right? Is the team very rarely comes out ready to play in the first period.
Yeah.
And I think, at some point as a coach, you got to kind of step into that role. So, yeah, I mean, they looked a lot better against St. Louis. It's tough to have the lead and then let them come back and win. And
that's a dagger. Yeah.
That's a tough one.
That one really sucks. But we see though, like it's like this is overall. We never beat around the bush. This isn't a fanboy podcast. We love the Kraken and we want them to do well, but we're gonna call it how it is. This is a average team. This is not somebody that's above and beyond, but they're not bad. They're not bad. They play the bad teams and they beat the bad teams. Like they kick the shit out of Chicago as they should, and they're currently kicking the shit out of Columbus as they should.
Right.
So
3-rip.
Yeah, the 3-rip as we record this right now. I think they're going into the second period. So they're beating the teams they're supposed to beat, which sets them above the bottom dwellers. They're not a Ducks, they're not a Chicago, they're not a San Jose, they're not a Columbus, they're not a Montreal. So that's good. And with them losing so many times, I think they were at 10 OT losses now. It's fucking nuts. It still puts us in a position to striking distance for a wild card position. We're still right in it. As I guess I could probably pull that up as we talk about it. Right on the precipice. So like we're based on how I feel the playoffs should be. To me, we're technically 20 and 28, and that's not the record team that I feel like deserves to make the playoffs. But with how the NHL works, we're technically we're 20 and 28. The Predators, who are 3 points ahead, are 20. They have an actual winning record, whereas we do not.
Yeah.
But that's just.
But play to the rules, right? So I mean,
Right.
you snake that extra point. We can't be complaining about it, but 5-4-1 in their last 10. It's not terrible, a little bit of. I mean, that's just kind of, that includes the win streak, the end of the win streak, and then this kind of struggle bus that they've been on. But I think you're going to see this, right? You cannot let it stretch out into an LA Kings situation, right?
Boy.
I mean, from a Kraken standpoint, you want to see the Kings continue to suck because Edmonton is all the way back, and there's, St. Louis has looked good since they got rid of Berube, which is pretty crazy to me, right? So there's
very
just
interesting.
Yeah, so there's some teams that they're chasing that even though the Kings are dropping out.
Do you think that that's not that I'm comparing like Babcock being like a dickhead, but like in the sense of, Berube comes in, he gets his cup, and now, like we think that he's the genius when in reality, you talk to the former Red Wings players who won the cups under Babcock, and they're like, we won despite him, not because of him. Like
Herb Brooks.
Like despite him being our coach, we still won, kind of thing.
I don't know. I don't know. It's an interesting situation because I believe they actually he's in like some sort of a role with St. Louis still, I believe. So I don't know, obviously we don't have all the background for it, but sometimes you just need a change of scenery, right? Like if the leader of the crew is, just losing the room and not speaking to the guys anymore, you got to switch it up. So I don't know. But I think in general, they've looked a lot better. Right. And good on the Kraken for putting up yes, you don't want to lose that one in OT and let Bushnevich do a fucking canoe celebration on the game-winning goal. No. But that one hurts a little bit. But that's a fairly hot team in their same division. So I think it's still a good, get a point out of it. Would have loved to have an extra point, but I mean, overall, I think the Chicago game was definitely okay, we need to win this, but this is, let's make this a jumping off point. Right?
They're right there with St. Louis. They're right there with Nashville. They're right there with, I would even say Vegas, with Vegas kind of slumping at the moment. Like I would say that they're in it. They're not below the line, right? Like at this point, I would probably start drawing the playoff line, Calgary and below, maybe Minnesota in below.
Yeah.
Minnesota's out, the Ducks are out, and everybody below them is out.
Yeah, I think watching the Ducks versus Minnesota the other day, I think that was 2 days ago. Maybe it was yesterday. It's just Minnesota's
they're cooked.
Shell.
They're fine.
They don't look good.
They're finally, they've just tried to milk it for so long to take another kick at the can, to avoid a rebuild, and I think it's finally just catching up with them. Like the best thing for them to do at the deadline is to be sellers. But so the Kraken, looking at it, St. Louis losing to them sucks because that is definitely positional stuff, standings positional stuff that you really wanted. 4 points behind St. Louis for that bottom wild card spot. So the timing, like you just said, good that the Kings are falling down. Like if they continue to slump, it's very possible that they kind of fall out of the picture. But yeah, like especially with looking at the West, like Colorado's not falling out, Dallas isn't falling out, Winnipeg's not falling out, Vancouver is not falling out. Vancouver's fucking really good.
8-0-2 in their last 10. Like
That's
they're the real deal.
Yeah, yeah, they are the real deal. And God, here's me rooting for them, because like if I have to pick a Canadian team, it's going to be Vancouver or Winnipeg, and I definitely am okay with one of those teams.
Yeah.
Vegas is slumping a bit. Like, I mean, it sounds a slump to them. 6-3-1 is nothing to balk at. But it seems like, oh no, I've talked to a few of my Golden Knights fans, and it seems like the Golden Knights are having some goaltender issues.
Yeah, I think as soon as Shea and Eichel went down, I think it took them a little bit to kind of figure out who was going to step up, but they've looked a lot better their last couple games. So I think they kind of have that oomph back. So yeah, I mean, looking at this, I think it's going to be super hard for the Kraken. I think realistically, like unless St. Louis goes back to playing like they were at the beginning of the season, I don't see a ton of movement unless LA dumps, right? So yeah, I think it's going to be really important for the Kraken to kind of get away from. I think they're 4-5-1 in their last 10, right? You got to start making your way away from that 500 line, and if you're going to have any sort of a shot.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
yeah,
Agreed. Well, and looking at, so they've got one more game before the All-Star break. They're going to play San Jose, so hopefully that's a win. And then after the All-Star break that comes back, you've got probably some tough matchups here. Philly is Jekyll and Hyde. What Philly you're going to get. Um,
right.
they've had stretches of good play, but also at the moment they're not playing so hot. It I was watching. I can't remember who they were playing, but God, maybe it was the Red Wings. They were playing the Red Wings. I was watching that game, and Torts comes out in the fucking press conference. He's just like, "Yeah, you can't be mean to players anymore. Like they'll break. Like they'll start crying, basically." And it's like, Jesus Christ, Torts! Like, you making
Hey
players
man,
cry?
yeah, he likes it. He
Oh,
drinks their tears.
just lives on it. It's gonna keep him alive forever. But no, he like said everything without saying that today's generation of hockey players are pussies, and they're not, they, just you can't be mean to them. You can't coach them. You just got to leave them alone. He basically said, like, I can't say anything to them, or they'll get
Yeah,
angry. And it's because he was, I think his point was like, his older generation of players, like they listened, like you would tell them to do something and then they would literally follow what he was told. Whereas nowadays you can't tell players what to do. You gotta kind of guide them, I guess.
sure, sure.
Which is, are we surprised that Torts is saying something like that? But uh,
Right.
in
Yeah.
any case, yeah. So you're going on a road trip, Flyers. So they're Jekyll and Hyde. The Devils are struggling right now. The Islanders are struggling right now. So those could be some good stuff. Boston, while Boston is very good, the Kraken in the past have had their number. So not necessarily worried about that. Then they come back. The Kraken come back for a little homestand, playing the Red Wings, who have been pretty hot lately, honestly. Taking on Vancouver, who's really fucking hot, and historically the Kraken just have never really had an answer for. Minnesota should be a gimme game. Boston, and then Pittsburgh, who is also kind of struggling. So overall, February doesn't look too bad in terms of climbing back into playoff contention.
Yeah, I think you're circling the Boston and the two Boston games in Vancouver, right? You gotta try to pick some points from those top teams, right?
Yep.
Because you're gonna drop one to, potentially the Red Wings, potentially Devils, right? So you want to kind of make sure you even that out a little bit. So yeah, I think you're right. I think they have some games that they should probably win, but
Devils are 3-6-1.
Yeah,
Wow.
they're missing Jack Hughes a lot,
Yeah.
right? And they have some injuries on the back end too, and then like zero goalies. Just throw a fucking cone in the net. So
God, that's well, and
yeah,
that's what's coming up. So I kind of actually let's touch on that. So Hackstall, or it was now Francis. Francis did take a question on what he's expecting for the deadline. I believe the quote was, possible buyers, if it makes sense. But that's, to me, that's a good thing. I think that this team is, I don't know. I think we've talked about it before. They're like that Jack Eichel trade away from, taking that next step. I feel like
yeah.
they
Is there
need
is
that.
there anyone that you want to see them pick up that
Mm,
you've heard like that's potentially on the market that could actually make this team better?
if the rumors are true, Jake Gunsel.
Yeah,
I'm seeing. I'm more wishing that into existence, but the rumor is that Gunsel is on the trading block. They've been shopping him a bit. He's 100% worth. If they wanted, oh boy, if they wanted a first round pick and one of our Coachella guys, I would, Hayden, Stoner, uh, God, I'd be kind of something like that. You know what I mean?
right, right. Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think if get some goal scoring up front, right? You can most years and through the first couple rounds in the playoffs we can get away with having a little bit of depth,
Hmm.
but you gotta have some firepower on the top end. So and I mean 3 rip to start the game tonight. That's a pretty good start, but I think you can always
Who's got
shore that
goals?
up. Eberle with 2 and McCann with 1.
Okay, that's
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I think another name that's on the market that's kind of been talked about. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Um, is Chikrin. I think we've talked about Chikrin before, but I think
mm.
I think if you're looking at the back end, that's probably one of the better guys that I would want to bring in, just
Oh,
because of his
Oilers.
age.
Oilers are huge sellers. I mean, if they're not sellers at this deadline, I
You
don't
mean
know.
Ottawa? I think you mean Ottawa.
Ottawa. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, if Ottawa's not sellers at this deadline, I don't know what they're doing. Like
yeah,
it's very clear that they are one of the like bottom five teams in the league at the moment. Like there's
yeah,
no going up. Like I'm not saying a complete teardown, but god damn man, you gotta the pieces aren't there, the goaltending's not there. That's a team where that I feel like the Kraken could definitely make an opportunistic push there. God, can you imagine like Pinto?
Pinto would be a good one. I think Pinto would be, and he wouldn't cost a ton,
Nope.
right? I mean, we haven't seen him all year, so I mean, I think you could probably get him for a second round pick or something, right? So
Yep.
yeah, I think that's probably another good target. Yeah, if anyone on Ottawa is feeling safe, but outside of Kachuk and Stutzla, and probably Sanderson, right? It's just you know you're lying to yourself because they need to be
Sure.
moving a lot of those guys. So
I
yeah, I
would
mean, looking. Oh, go for it.
Oh, well, so I was gonna ask you. So let's to before we dig into that, first off, Kraken, do you believe buyers, sellers stand pat? What
In
they
my
should do,
opinion,
what they should do versus what you think they'll do.
yeah, I think after Francis's comments, I think there's a very good chance that they're going to be buyers. I personally think that they should be selling because of what they have in Coachella, right? Shane Wright's playing good hockey down there. You know, Ty Cartier needs some time. He's you can't just bury him on that third pairing. I think there's in the Kraken system, he's got to be a guy that starts getting some games here pretty quick. So I
Yep.
think if you can move a guy, man, I would love for them to move Jamie Alexiak, right? And teams with a big shutdown defender, he's got a market, right? So I think there's definitely some looks even on the front end. I think you kind of look at some of these guys and just figure out in realistically with the Kraken, what does this team look like in 2 to 3 years? Because you got to start at some point figuring out how you win the cup instead of just playing another season.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to start trying to figure out it, it's that good problem to have of we have a lot of people in the pipeline at the moment. Like
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it as, people who have championed it. And if he does crack the roster, I'm going to be happy about it. But I think Shane Wright is a huge piece right here if the return is right.
Yeah.
Wright is 17 goals and 13 assists in 38 games, so almost a point per game basis.
In his first AHL season. I mean,
In
that's
his first
pretty
AHL
solid.
season. It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
But the problem is that you look at this Kraken roster again. We're fixated on the point of like Alex Wenberg is a second line center when I'm gonna I should get a fucking plaque on the back wall that says Wenberg is a third line center,
Right.
but it's just not. So like we're looking at where you look at this daily faceoff lineup right now. Where does Shane Wright go?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where Francis needs to make the big boy decision, right? Well, I mean, you got to start getting him and Evans some games. So I think the only way that you do that, I mean, Matty Beniers doesn't need to be on that fourth line either.
No.
So I think in reality, right? I think there's potentially two guys that need that he can move on the front,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he needs to move at least one on the back, right? And I think you got to start giving those young guys some time. And I mean, you can't be even in the Pacific, right? He can't be sitting there comfortable, even though they had that nice win streak, right? At some point, you just got to go, look. It
All
might
that
not
did
be
was
this year,
nullify that 10-game losing streak they had.
sure, right? So we're evened out. We're essentially 500 hockey,
Right.
so we gotta try to think long term here. And I think there's some good forwards in that pipeline too. Jaeger is a great player. He's crushing. I think the OHL, maybe it's the dub, but they really do have some guys that are maybe
what's Ty Nelson up to?
I think we were talking about it. I think Aaron brought up that he was I think it was Ty
Doing
Nelson. I think maybe I'm thinking of someone else, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, they have some decent forwards, so at some point, right, bring in these guys that are a little higher caliber, like you're saying with Gensel, right? Bring in those guys that can score those goals, that can, put the puck in the back of the net, and start to get away from, yeah, Tanev and Cartier and Beniers on the fourth line is great, but I
What
mean,
if
you got to have some scoring coming through there.
let me throw another name at you here to make you start thinking. This will never happen. He will probably stay there forever as the ship sinks. But Jarrett Spurgeon.
It's not bad. I mean, I think and that's why I like Chikrin, right? Spurgeon I think is only like 30. So I mean, it's not like he's in his twilight years. He is
No.
injured right now.
Oh yeah, well he's hurt. Yeah, okay. Well,
But
but the season's done. Like the season's over. Like
yeah.
Minnesota's not. There's no real no. I mean, unless they, God, can you imagine if they try to be buyers at the deadline? That would be so dumb.
I think 34 is Spurgeon. Thank you, Aaron. Um there's no way that they're buyers. There's no way. I mean, if I'm Minnesota, I'm even looking above me at Calgary and Seattle and saying those two teams are better than this team, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
so what are your odds, right? You'd have to have LA drop all the way back down. You'd have to go on an absolute heater. And I just, as much as I love Brock Faber and I love the Rossies and the Boldies, I think you gotta. They're in even more of a boat of think for 3 years from now than the
Mm-hmm.
Kraken are, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think they need to be sellers, and if they're not, good, right? I just,
Right.
let
Right.
them fuck it up, right? I mean,
Right.
that's going to be a team with some of their young guys that the Kraken are
Trade,
probably going to battle.
trade for Eric Holla at the deadline and continue to be mediocre.
Yeah, bring in Phil Kessel.
Oh God.
Yeah. I,
Oh,
yeah.
these goal
And I,
this goalies.
so as much as I love Marc-Andre Fleury, yeah, that goalie tandem that they have now is their tandem of the future, right? I
Yeah.
mean, it's Gustafsson and Wallstedt is a
Well,
very good goalie.
Flurry's
So
only got Fleury. Yeah. Oh, I know what you meant. Yeah. No, Fleury's
Yeah.
only got probably like what, one more year, if that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be surprised to see him. He's just seems like a gamer though. Like he doesn't want to go out on a season
He'll
like
be
this for Minnesota.
he'll be a career backup. Like he could probably backstop a, if somebody needs a backup goalie for a cup run, you could probably grab Fleury. But man, at this point, that's
I mean, I'd
tough.
rather have Flurry than fucking Schmid and Vanacek.
But that's the
So
truth. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I can get
yeah.
behind that.
So it'll be interesting to see what Francis does at
Buyers,
the deadline.
I agree. I agree with you that the buyers tag is probably appropriate for the Kraken. Um, I would like to see them make that big, Jack Eichel move. They're probably not. That's not Francis's MO.
Mm,
We're probably looking at another type of like Thomas Tatar move, but man, I just don't think that's what we need. We don't need more Thomas Tatars.
right.
Like the depth on this team is already a problem. Like Kyler Yamamoto, who's having, for all intents and purposes, a very solid season, is a healthy scratch right now because there's just no place on this team for him right now.
Right. Right.
Like Ty Cartier, I would argue, fuck, that's tough. It's just a situation where what are you gonna do? You gonna bench Brandon Tanev? You can't do that.
Yeah.
So pretty much the only guy that's, when everybody is healthy, the only guy that's out is it's either Ty Cartier or Kyler Yamamoto. So
Yeah.
adding more players on the front end just doesn't make sense to me. It's you need to add a defenseman, and
Yeah.
I do think that you were right on the money with Chikrin, but lots of people are going to be kicking tires on Chikrin. I've heard that Arizona might be interested in getting him back.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Wouldn't that be?
That'd be awesome. Yeah. It'll be really interesting. I mean, basically, Francis from his comments left the door open to say, let's see what happens in the games
Right.
up till that point, right?
Mhm.
If they're 500, they're sellers. If they're less than 500, they're sellers. If they go on another heater, they could be buyers, right? So I just, yeah, it'll be interesting. I personally, I'm just in the boat of, especially with Francis with his draft acumen and all that. I don't see how you don't say, hey, this isn't the year. It's not going to be it. Let's just, let's get the young guys some playing time and see
Yep.
what people want to give us for Eberle, who has 2 goals tonight. Right. So I think that's where I'd love to see them go. I don't buy it. I don't think they will. I think he's probably right. He's probably looking to buy, which if he gets a Chikrin, yeah, right, because that fits it more of a timeline of some of the younger guys, and he can help out this year, right? So, and
Yep.
it said the same thing last year when he was on the block, or 2 years. I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
yeah, be
No, I get
interesting to.
that. But it's like we were saying, I was using Yamo as an example, but also the depth of, the fact that Matty Beniers is our fourth line center at the moment. That, the answer, like you look at that without any context and you go like, that's fucked up. Like, how is Matty Beniers fourth line center right now? And then you dig into it a little more. It's like, okay, well, what's the alternative? You put Jared McCann on the fourth. The answer is you put Alex Wenberg on the fourth fucking line, but
Sure.
apparently that's not going to happen. Apparently he is locked into second line center forever until he dies. So I'm just not even going to talk about it. I'm going to stop beating that drum. I'm starting to sound like a crazy person at this point. Like everybody, like I can walk around Climate Pledge Arena. I'd be like, why is he on the second line? Everybody's just like, he's really good defensively. And I'm like, that's not an acceptable answer. You might as well, you might as well have said like, it's, well, the sky is blue. Like that doesn't answer. That's not an answer. That's
You know what I think it is? I
he's
think
really
Francis.
handsome, Taylor. He's really handsome.
Hey, you know what? It does help. It does help the Kraken's handsome meter. So I
It
mean,
does.
makes sense.
But that's God, it's so infuriating. I just like no, not enough people are talking about it. Like it's the
Yeah.
biggest to me. It's like the biggest thing that holds our team back in terms of like offensive output, and it's just no one cares because he doesn't always fuck up. Like he's not a fuck up guy. He's not playing bad hockey. He does nothing. And everybody's like, that's great. Like, that's why we want him there. He's a non-effect. And I'm like, that's not good.
Yeah, you know what? It's just crazy to me, right? If you look at, and I think with Shane Wright having the season that he's having in Coachella,
Yeah.
couldn't you move Wenberg for a second or third rounder, right? You get your
Yeah.
draft capital you want, and move Yanni up to that second line and put Shane Wright in that third line,
Yeah.
right? McCann obviously to the wing. So I mean, I just to me that's I'd love to see them reshuffle those lines a little bit by getting if you want draft capital, right? And that's we know Francis's mo.
Mhm.
Why not? Why not when you got some of these guys in Coachella that personally I think both him and Evans are ready to go,
Sure.
right? They might not be world beaters the rest of the season, but you're gonna get some of those draft picks for some of these guys that I mean, what do they covet, right? A second line who realistically is a third, fourth line center. That's great for a contending team, right?
Yep.
Move Wenberg,
Yep.
right? A big shutdown defenseman in Alexiak that, yes, his gap control is absolutely atrocious,
Mhm.
but I mean, there's defensive needy teams, right? Does Toronto need some defense?
Yes.
Not
That's
not
agreed.
based on their, who's signed to contracts in that team, but they could use potentially a guy like Alexiak that just is a big body, right? So
Can't wait till they get bounced in the first round. That's gonna be so great for me.
it's gonna be beautiful.
Uh, but no, you're 100% right. But that is the underlying problem, though, right? Like, if we're sitting here going like, okay, yes, Francis loves his draft picks, he loves his draft capital, he loves all that, weaponizing the cap and blah 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 blah. That's great. He's been doing that, and now it's creating a good problem. Whereas, like, we've got so many guys that are waiting in the wings that there's no space on this team for them.
Mm-hmm.
I you made a great point. Like, yeah, you could ship out Jordan Eberle to, a cup team that's trying to make a run. Eberle can round out a second or third line somewhere, and you could get probably a first round pick back from, Boston or something like that. That's
Yeah,
great. But, okay, then we spend that first round pick, and now we've got another guy at fucking A in Coachella that, who's next guy up? You opened up
yeah,
one spot, and we still got four guys that basically arguably deserve time on this team.
yeah. I think this is just a pivotal moment for any GM, right? And this is what any dedicated hockey fan knows, right? You're gonna have those drafts. You're gonna have those guys that are potentially ready to go. You gotta at some point start making room for them, right?
Yep.
You gotta register that this team isn't. There's a good chance they don't even get out of the first round if they do make it because who knows. Joey can get hot, but who knows who you're gonna run into. So why not set yourself up for the future,
Let's
right? I
talk about
just
that.
that's what I would go.
Let's talk about that. The goalie talk has been surprisingly absent from this episode, because up until this point, it seems like Grubauer stands, at least from my trolling around Twitter. It seems like the Grubauer stands have pretty much quieted down. I think everybody is firmly Team Joey at this point.
Yeah.
During this losing streak, so I pulled it up earlier on. I probably pull it up again. But Joey, even in this losing streak, his last I'm gonna say 5 games,
Okay.
last 5 or 6. So he's got one win in his last 5. Uh, one of those games, the St. Louis game, is the one that we kind of hang our hat on him, like he's got to be there to keep the team in it. But other
Mm-hmm.
than that, Edmonton 0.889. That's not great, but it's not against a team that's on a 15-game winning streak. Toronto, lost that game, but a 0.920 save percentage is nothing to balk at. When they kick the tires off of Chicago, that's a 0.941 save percentage. And tonight, he's not getting really tested. He's got 8 shots against, but he's posting a shutout at the moment. And if you go back further, obviously Joey was the main reason for the push on, he was goalie of the week, and, save percentages shifting anywhere from 0.920 to 940. And it seems like everybody, with Grubauer finally coming off of IR, everybody was pretty confident that Grubauer was going to get his time in the net tonight, and it just didn't happen. Hackstall
Yeah.
seems like he's allowed Joey the opportunity to claim the net as his own.
Which you got to praise Hackstall on that, right? I
Yes.
think I mean all three of us really, right? We were
Yes.
kind of like, here's Grubauer's gonna get his fucking shot right
Yeah.
away.
Watch,
You
and
know,
then
and
he'll beat the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then
right.
we'll be like, oh, here we fucking go again.
Yeah. No, I think Joey has done all his part to solidify that net, and luckily Hackstall has given him the leash, which I
Yep.
think is great. So yeah, I think you're right. I think because people are seeing Joey play so well, right? It's one thing if Martin Jones has the net last year and then Grubauer comes back, right?
Right.
Whereas Joey shut out the Vegas Golden Knights in the Winter Classic. He's
Yep.
putting on another good performance tonight. He's a
He
damn
was
good goalie.
responsible
So
for the 10-game win streak, and even during this current losing streak, he's not. We're not losing these games because of Joey.
yeah, 100%.
You could make an argument the St. Louis game was not because of him, but that's 4 goals on 14 shots is glaring. Like that's not good. You need to have those. And obviously that's without context. That's without breaking down each play. I remember watching that game a little bit. That was in fact I jinxed us. That was my fault.
Yeah.
But
God damn it.
you just blame
St.
that game
Louis
on
is
me.
bad, and then they fucking win.
Well, we were out
Damn it.
shooting them like 20-8 or something like that. And we
Oh,
were
yeah.
up. We were up 3-0, and I'm like, okay, we should be fine. Or 3-1, something like that. Yeah, and then they turned it around real fast.
Yeah.
But no, we're not losing these games because of Joey, and Joey is a reason why we are staying in all of these games every night. It seems like sometimes when the Kraken inevitably, have their lapses in judgment, their defensive letdowns, all that kind of stuff. It's nice to have a goalie that you can count on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Completely agree.
Do you think that Grubauer remains in that backup role?
Yeah, I mean, with his contract, right? He's got that I guess middling goaltender contract for around the league, but
Mhm.
yeah, I think Drieger only played one game, so I mean and he cleared waivers back down to Coachella, so I just don't think they're gonna risk taking him back up
Doesn't seem like they have
to
much
throw Grubauer.
confidence in him.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that is because they originally brought him in like it was his net until Grubauer got there, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, it's Joey's net until Grubauer strings together. He's really got to string together about 5 to 6 really good games, but it's going to be tough for him to do that when, for one, Joey's playing so well, and two, I mean everybody thought that Grubauer was going to get the start tonight, and Hackstall was like, "Nah, we need a fucking win. We don't
Right.
need potentially a .778 and a
And
fucking 5 goals against."
it's good that he's finally recognizing that, right? Like anybody could have tried to galaxy brain this and be like, okay, it's bad Columbus. They're coming in. We're already going to be the favorites. Let's start Grubauer to get his feet wet back into it to maybe get him into the rotation. You could have easily used that logic, and many were like that's what we were expecting. Many of us were expecting Grubauer to play this game. Didn't happen. Hackstall finally seeing like, okay, yeah, I don't care about Grubauer's feelings. Like we need to win this hockey game, and it doesn't matter if Grubauer comes back and plays better. Joey, there's no reason to mess with what's happening. We're not. Yes, I understand we're on a losing streak, but we're not losing it because of fuck Joey.
Yeah, I think we probably see Grubauer on Tuesday because you obviously don't want to just drive Joey into the fucking dirt either. But
we are going into the All-Star break. That's
yeah,
the last game
we'll see
before
what
an
happens.
11-day break. So
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that. But I don't know. I at the end of the day, looking at the standings, 4 points out of it, they're right in it for all the wrong reasons, basically.
Sure.
Again, 20 and 28 is their technical record, but 10 of them being in overtime that keeps them in this. If you combined that, they're very much a losing team, but here we are. So I don't know. We'll see if they can pull it out.
Chance, let's round this sucker out with your bum of the week. Who on the Kraken was an absolute bum this week?
I'm gonna take Eli Tolvanen.
Yeah, it's a low hanging fruit, but yeah, he's been pretty quiet.
Yeah, because I don't want to say Alex Wenberg, but it's to me, Alex
yeah,
Wenberg.
that's too easy.
Yeah, that's too easy. Like it's not. That's your Elysiac.
Uh-huh.
It's,
Yeah, that's an easy one for me.
yeah, it's like it's too easy for me to just say like, oh yeah, Alex Wenberg is doing absolutely fucking nothing. Um, why is he on the second line? Why is he doing this? Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I could say Alex.
Oh, we lost him. Well, see a chance. Alex Wenberg fucking hacked the system, kicked him out.
Booksack threw him off.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, there's the producer right there, Aaron. Aaron popping in real quick.
Oh my god, I just died.
Yeah, we lost you.
Okay, I'm
Yep.
back.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Something about Wenberg. Yeah. So Wenberg, that's an easy low route kind of thing. Definitely serving in a role that I don't think that he should be in. But yeah, Tolvanen's that guy. That I think it's maybe because he set himself up so high. You know, like last year when he came in, we had high hopes for him. And he was playing above to what we expected him to do, and now he's kind of gone quiet. Back to the player that Nashville was cutting loose. So that's mildly concerning.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I think, you know, you're gonna see guys get hot and cold, but you definitely. I mean, he did score against St. Louis. He peppers in a few goals and stuff like that. He's still got 30 points in like 40. I think he's played all season, 48 games. So or 30 points in 48 games. But yeah, so I think you're right. I think you want to see him get hot because he played some really good hockey, especially playoffs and down the stretch last year, right? So that's what you're expecting, and he's just. I think he's definitely feeling himself, feeling it a little bit. So,
Yep. No, I agree. Who do you got?
before the last couple games, it was going to be Jaden Schwartz. So last week, he definitely kind of started to come back around. So Chicago and St. Louis picking up a goal and an assist. But before that, he went quiet there for a little while. So I think it's good to see because they're keeping him around. I think he's definitely someone, in my opinion, that should probably be on the block. Just because I do think that they should be sellers, but he is coming back around, but he went real quiet there for a little bit. So hopefully good things to come for Schwartzy, but yeah, he I guess it's not bum of the week, bum of the week before, but
Sure.
I'll take that.
I do want to kind of this kind of ties into it, like to give the shout out. It's amazing the drop in talent and how bad this team does without Vince Dunn. Like when Vince Dunn is not on the ice for this team, they struggle hard.
Yep.
It's incredible. So like to me, like maybe I know that sounds like a negative, but I'm going to use it as a positive in the sense of like it's good to have Vince Dunn back, and like it shows very much just with his absence how important he is to this team, because if he's not there, this defense struggles. There is no one to quarterback a power play. The guy is at least top 15 defenseman in my eyes in the league.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, he also has a little bite to his game. Even 5'10",
Right.
all 150 pounds dripping wet, but
right.
Yeah, and you like that, right? That's a guy you go to war for, So yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a reason you're seeing them play better hockey. I think he. Oh, you would know. I think he came back St. Louis, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But either way, I think it's a better hockey club when he's out there. So
yes, 100%. Well, and that blue line, he's the anchor of that blue line, and it's very apparent when he's gone that he backstops that blue line.
100%.
Last thing, I'd probably just put somebody on watch. Now that he's back from injury, we need to see more from Matty Beniers.
Yeah. He's been very quiet.
I know that this is definitely his sophomore slump. We're in the midst of it. But he needs to, whatever role that Hextall is going to have him in on, skating on a line with Ty Cartier and Brandon Tanev is not necessarily like, that's not a bad thing. Like it's a good, like he's surrounded by some players that he can actually make some stuff work with. And I understand that that's going to be limiting his minutes significantly. So let's hope that maybe he can work his way back into the rotation and become a solid center again. That is going to contribute points.
It's gonna be tough to do because that fourth line, even like Hackstall likes to roll them. Yeah, it's only gonna be 12 to 13 minutes a night at the on a good day. So it's gonna be tough for him. But he is very two-way, right? He's very defensive on top of being one of their better offensive forwards, right?
Mhm.
So I think he can kind of earn his stripes back with the defensive side of the game too. So yeah, just something to keep an eye on. I wonder if the fourth line has something to do with he's not completely healthy, right? Like he's kind of they're like, okay, we need a little extra bump here
Sure.
and put him in the lineup. But yeah, something
Well,
to keep an eye on.
and what happens when Pierre Edward Belmar comes back?
Yeah,
That's your
he's
fifth center.
yeah, he's probably a press guy, but
Most likely,
yeah,
but
we'll see.
that's because at this point, what do you get? I mean, where do you put him? Even if you wanted him on the team.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. I think that's about it. Anything else on the Kraken, Taylor?
No, let's keep the freaking good vibes going. It's 3 rip still, so
Yeah,
good shit.
I think we're closing out before the All-Star break with games against Columbus. We're gonna probably win this game tonight, and then not
San Jose.
knock on wood, we'll close out the All-Star break with a win against San Jose. So kind of go into it on a bright note, and then going into February.
Love it.
Cool. All right, folks. We are kind of, like we said before in our last episode, we're experimenting with 2 episodes a week. So one of them kind of being more of a general, all-encompassing look at the league and news and all that kind of stuff, and then kind of giving you your updates on the Seattle Kraken. That was this episode right now. So let us know what you think. Hope you guys liked it, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday or Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.